Okay, so what you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen, other pairs will be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But yeah, we'll go through my trades for the week first and then progress into the analysis shortly after. So feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps if you want to see a particular pair. But I had two positions this week, one on gold, one on USD JPY, both long positions. Gold, I closed out as a small win, a partial win. Price came into my first take profit area. I had two take profit areas for this one. This was my first one at 2010. And then my second one was around 2044, 2045, coming back into the most recent swing highs up there. Didn't make it to that area, unfortunately, but we did hit that first target. So secured some profits there. Went to break even, then got tagged out on the exact same candle. The candle wick to my TP zone, took some profit, then it came all the way back down, took me out of the trade. So yeah, that was the gold position. And on USDJPY, which I'm currently still in, got into that next high low, looking for a push back to the highs here, some daily highs up there, which is my ultimate goal for the trade. I've taken partials a couple of times, come to the highs here at 135 and some important areas there around 136 as well. So secure partials, this one's at break even as well. Hopefully you can go and hit the TP there sometime next week, you know, holding this position over the weekend. But yeah, next week is looking pretty good as well. I'm excited for next week's a new month as well. We finished with April. Now let's start May with a bang. So Euro USD first pair as always. So this one's a little bit corrective, but I do think there's a good trade to be had with Euro USD if you can start breaking out. I'm kind of considering this as consolidation. The market is trapped in with the highs here, so we've got equal highs here. The market's failing to break through the resistance here at 1.106. We've also got these successive high lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the market is still in an uptrend. And if you look at how the weekly and the monthly candles are closing here, we're still seeing bullish momentum on the higher time frames as well. So I do have to favor the buys, but at the same time, I don't want to get involved anywhere in here. This is kind of like a no man's land for myself. So I'm waiting for Euro USD to do either one or two things. If we do get the buys, I'm looking for a pop above 1.106. So this resistance, if you can break through that, I'll be more than happy to take the retest above that, because then we've cleared that resistance. The market's now making higher highs again. Retest will take that bullish momentum to the upside. And if you start breaking structure and the market wants to reverse, then again, I'm more than happy to take the sells as well. But we do need to break out of this zone here, start clearing some lows out, give me a lower high, and then yeah, take the shorts. A bit of a dodgy drawing there, but you guys get the picture there. So looking for the break of structure, break through the trend line, most importantly break through the support, pull back onto 1.09700, and then I'll be looking for my sell opportunities. Oh, I'm having a nightmare there. I'm looking for my sell opportunity to take this to the downside. And again, targets depends on your risk reward, but there's multiple lows here, you know, you can aim for. Even this structure there on the left, you know, could be a target for you depending on your risk reward. And the buys as well. Buys a little bit more tricky as to where we can target, because we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You know, the price is still flirting with this you know, most recent swing high. Hasn't really broken through, but hasn't really rejected either. So if we do get that impulsive break to the upside, we can probably, you know, it's safe to say we're breaking through the high now, and most likely we'll continue higher. So there's nowhere really to target unless you're going to look back all the way to March 2022. So pretty much over a year ago, then yeah, we probably got some important areas we can target there. But for me, I'll probably be using a mixture of this high, this resistance, and some psychological levels for Euro USD for the targets, because I'm not really a big fan of looking all the way to the left, you know, super long ago to find some targets, because they're not very reliable. So probably use a mixture of this target here and 1.11500, which is a nice psychological level we can aim for as well. So this is probably what I'll be looking for Euro USD, break and retest, push to 1.115. All the sells if you can start clearing out the lows. Either which way, I'm not looking to trade within this zone. So keep an eye on those two setups, break the highs or break the lows. You've got some good trades either way. And yeah, hopefully you can get some good trades in next week for Euro USD. Okay, so USD JPY up next. So like I said, I'm still looking for a push back into the highs up here. The market is looking considerably bullish. We had some really nice structure to play with this week. Low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So very, very simple structure, looking to capture that next higher low for push to the upside, and now we're looking at pushing to 137,500. So the market's looking awfully bullish right now. If you're looking to get involved with this trade, You want to be seeing some pullbacks. Right now, this market is in no man's land. We just had a really big impulse breaking through some structure, maybe testing some supply, some resistance on the left there. So we might see some retracement for Euro USD, and if we do, that's where we can look to pick up some long positions and get involved with continuations to the upside. Back to 137,500, because looking at the daily time frame, we've got these successive higher lows, even starting from the lows back down here as well, and even the weekly pretty strong close to the upside as well. So momentum is definitely with the bulls, especially breaking through the highs like we did there with this strong break. So if you can see some type of corrections, look for the pullbacks and get some long positions for USD JPY. So this is the best area I can see to get back involved with this pair. We might not even get there, to be fair, but if we do retrace, this is a solid spot to be looking at. 135 on the dot, really nice psychological level. Look for some entry confirmations, and then we can ride that momentum to the upside. So for me, for USD JPY, definitely bullish on the pair, looking for a push back to the highs, 137,500. If you didn't get into any long positions here, this will be the next best area to be looking to get back into the trade and ride that momentum. In terms of risk reward, it still looks pretty attractive. So keep an eye out for USD JPY if you do get a pullback, because in terms of the structure, we've had a really nice impulse. So just looking for a simple correction, next impulse to the upside, solid structure. So that's the plan for USD JPY. Buys from around 135 and targets 137,500 for next week. Okay, so moving on to USD CAD. USD CAD, really nice move to the upside this week. Didn't really see the retracement we were after. We had kind of consolidation at the start of the week and the market just popped to the upside. I was looking for this head and shoulder pattern to form. You got the left there, the head, and then possibly the right shoulder. Didn't quite see that this week. Unfortunately, the market was just far too bullish. We had the higher lows that the market was respecting here. Looking at the first one, second, third, really nice push to the upside, looking for the correction, continuation, and possibly some long-term moves back into the highs there. So USD CAD is kind of not really in an attractive place for me. When I'm looking at these type of patterns, these are the areas that I want to get involved in, as close to the lows and the extremes as possible, or as close to the highs in the extremes, of the resistance as possible. Generally speaking, in these areas, I don't really want to be looking to get involved because it's a bit more speculative. Again, not that you can't find a profitable trade, you probably can, but in terms of probability, I want to be close to the lows or close to the highs when I'm taking my trades, just in general, because I know I have a high chance of winning that trade and a better stop loss in general. But we can probably find some nice buys because we had a really nice impulse to the upside, obviously breaking some structure here on the left. This could be the correction, but I would say keep an eye out on this level here, because although we are retesting the level right now, we could open Monday London session and the market could be trading underneath the level. So we need to see some development around here, some wicks, some rejection, look for some entry confirmations, and then we can probably take some nice buys back to the upside, back into the resistance. I probably wouldn't push the trade further than that, to be honest, because again, we're in a very speculative area and there's a solid level of resistance which the market is rejecting this week around 1.364. So buys back up to that area. If you can get a nice 1 to 2, 1 to 3, take your profit and run. If you want to leave some to trickle and continue higher, feel free, but in terms of probability, it will be the smart decision to take your profit around this resistance here and then possibly leave a little bit to continue. But that's the best I can see of USD CAD. Like I said, I don't really favor the area price is trading, but if you can get some solid rejection, I do think we can get some nice short-term buys back into 1.364 for next week for USD CAD. Okay, so over to Euro Pounds. Euro Pounds been very chaotic. I haven't been a big fan of this one. There was a breakout of the trend line here. The market looks like it was breaking through the resistance. Didn't quite do that, just threw a lot of wicks there to the upside, so we didn't really see a solid candle closure above this area for the break and retest, which is what I was actually favoring coming into the week, because we were getting this corrected price action. The market started to break through the trend line, so we're getting these higher lows, 1, 2, and some higher highs possibly. So if you could clear the resistance, simply break and retest, and you can look for some targets up around there. So that was the opportunity I was looking at for Euro Pound. Never really got the breakout. Now the market's breaking back into this structure, so I'm looking to see if Euro Pound can return back to the support level here around 0.872. Possibly could be looking at correction and then a continuation back down. It's a very strong impulse, so it's not the worst sell in the world. Similar to USD CAD, actually even worse than USD CAD, much worse than USD CAD. The price action is just very sporadic. This price action is basically consolidation, and it's just not good in general to be trading in these areas. This whole thing here is just a big mess. So trading in these areas is going to be it's going to leave you very vulnerable to random wicks and just simple fake outs. People selling on this trade here, suddenly this happens and the move works. Big wicks around here, stop loss around here being taken out, stop losses there. So it's just a very tricky area to navigate through, which is why I won't be looking at trading euro pound at all next week. But for people that are, this is a nice impulse. The likelihood of us coming back to these lows are pretty great. Very strong weekly candle closure as well, as you can see there as well. So the probability is that euro pound most likely will make its way back down to the support around 0.872. Strong impulse, breaking structure. You would expect to see a correction and then continuation. So shorts around 0.88 don't look terrible, but I just don't like the price action we're trading in. So euro pound for me will be a miss. But if you're looking to trade it, keep an eye on the break and retest of that area for some more sales back down to the lows for next week. Okay, so AUD USD up next. So for this one, we were looking for a nice down move correction continuation this week. We did see the down move, didn't really see the correction I was looking for. I was looking for the market to come back and retest, these areas up here. Didn't quite see that. The market kind of fizzled out, coming into some support areas down here. I'm still looking at more downside for AU, but we need to be careful because we're not really starting to break through the lows here. So there's a possibility we could double bottom, but I'm still interested in the sells. We've had a really nice impulse to the downside here, correction, another impulse to the downside. I'm looking at correction, another push to the downside. We may not break through the lows. We might start rejecting the area. We could just plummet through the lows. That's up to AUD. I'm not trying to predict the future. I'm trying to find good possible high probability areas that we can look to buy and sell from, and good high probability targets we can buy and sell towards as well. So this is the area I'm looking to sell from, and this will be the targets for next week. Probably won't push the whole way down depending on the risk to reward. If I can get 1 to 3, 1 to 4 somewhere, I'll take my profit and run. I might leave some to trickle, but this is kind of the setup I was looking for coming into the week, and now we've kind of got that. So I'm looking at first high, second lower high, and a third lower high somewhere around here, coming back into probably the 0.618 of the fib. 0.5, 0.618 in between. So if you can get a rejection around these areas, I'd be more than happy to short the pair back into the lows here at 0.65800. So depending on the risk reward, I may look to push it all the way down, may not, we'll see. It depends on the entry. But in terms of where I'm looking to get involved, it is 100% in this area. So we'll be fixated on 0.668 for some entries, targets back down at lows. I like what we're seeing in terms of structure and the 4H. It is quite choppy, yes, but I do like this area because we're at the extremes, can take our trade. If the market starts breaking through this area, okay, then we've probably got a really big consolidation or maybe a big reversal. So looking for shorts around 0.668. 668, and targets 0.658 for next week. Okay, so NZD CAD up next. So for this pair, I'm still looking at that bigger, higher time frame bull flag pattern. Big impulse to the upside here. I'm looking at a big correction here for the next, probably impulse to the upside, back to the highs and maybe higher. So we're still looking at a big bullish move for this one. And the market's starting to turn bullish. So this is now interesting me for some buys. It's still a little bit aggressive, but I do really like the opportunity. So again, with these buys, they are counter trend because again, if you look at the structure here, it is still bearish to the downside here in the 4H, and that's the time frame that I focus primarily on. So as you can see, we are still making lower lows and lower highs, and technically, this is still our major lower high, and we have not yet cleared that, and this is still a pretty strong impulse to the downside. So the structure is bearish, but the structure I'm seeing here in terms of the counter trend move is fitting some good requirements to go long. So I will be looking at 0.83375 for some buy opportunities. Like I said, it's a little bit more aggressive, but still worth the while because we've got the higher time frames on our side, and if you can really start to catch that momentum, we could be in for a really big move to the upside. Again, I'm not really looking to hold my trade the whole bullish flag pattern on the daily. I'll probably look to get it maybe twice or 3 times depending on opportunities I get. But you know, this is a decent trade because we're right at the lows of the pattern. So if we are going to see a bullish flag pattern on the daily happen, you know, this is a prime area where you expect the market to start gaining some momentum and start ripping to the upside. And now we're getting some good buy opportunities back up to 0.842, and then maybe you can go high if you start breaking structure, because there's, like I said, the structure is still bearish in the full H. We could end up doing that, maybe another, you know, push the downside, and then maybe we see the bigger buys. That's up to NZD CAD. Nonetheless, this is the opportunity I'll be focused on going into next week. Double bottom into the lows here at 0.834, and a retest of that trend line as well. Some decent confluence there. So I'll be keeping an eye out for the buys for NZD CAD. If we break through this area, I'll leave NZD CAD alone. We might be looking for one more bearish leg before going bullish, so I'll wait for that to develop. But as of right now, this is where I'm looking to get involved. So keep an eye out for 0.833 and buys up to 0.842 for next week. Okay, so up next we've got pound NZD. So pound NZD, I'm still looking for a push back into these major highs on the daily, weekly time frames, which are not too far away. This was the target coming into this week. Didn't quite make it there, but the market is still very, very bullish and still breaking through very important areas, as you can see here, and we've just wicked through the highs there too. So there's a high chance we will be making it into 2.05 into those highs. So simply I'm just looking at some healthy pullback to buy this pair, and like I said, I was focusing on these higher lows. So as you can see, connecting these higher lows up there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Market is still pushing to the upside. So coming into the week, this was my area of interest, and then we remove this out of the way. You know the high time frame levels there. We don't need it right now. But this was the level I was looking at. So solid resistance, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 was support previously as well. Here at 2.01, and we've got some nice trend line confluence. So simply I'm looking at this impulse to correct itself back down again, and then looking for the buys for the next move to the upside. So we'll be looking at around 2.01, 2.015 for the buy opportunities. Analysis hasn't really changed much. Since last week. Again, don't necessarily have to push it to 2.05. If we do pull back from here, you know, a push back to the highs is perfectly fine. Probably can get a nice 1 to 3 into those highs anyway, maybe even more depending on your entry. So you know, can just call it a day back at the highs there at 2.0375. Or if you're feeling a little bit braver, 2.05 is up there as well. So that's going to be, you know, completely up to you. But yeah, pound NZD, I'm still bullish on this one. There is some lower time frame opportunities. You know, the market's still, you know, creating these higher lows, so there is still this resistance here, turn support. Again, for me, the risk reward is not favorable, so this is why I'm not interested in that opportunity. But on the lower time frames, like 30-minute, 50-minute, there might be some nice buys, you know, back into the high there, and if you're lucky, you might catch the break to the upside. So keep an eye on 2.02815. for the lower time frame continuation, retest the highs continuation. Not really nice impulse there as well. But for me, focusing on the full H, I want to see deeper pullbacks for you know, for bigger moves, bigger swings in the market, similar to the USD JPY trade. I want to see those bigger pullbacks for the bigger swings. This is more of a lower time frame opportunity, so keep an eye on that if you are on the lower time frames. But for me, we'll be focusing at 2.0145, 2.01405 for next week. Okay, so over to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen flying to the upside, back into the highs of this larger descending channel, which we've been talking about on the daily time frame. As you can see, coming back into the highs there. We've obviously got the lows there. So the market is now back at a make or break area, and what I mean by that, it's either, you know, going to break out, or it's either going to reject the area and reverse. This is a lot of bullish momentum, and sometimes that will put a lot of people off, you know, looking to sell at these areas. But I do think we can still find some nice sells if we see some good rejection. Looking at the full H in the hourly, the market's still way too bullish to consider looking to short now. We need to see some good rejection around these areas before looking to take some shorts, and we can start looking for a move to the downside. If the market just breaks straight through the level, then yeah, the retest on the other side could be looking good for the longs, because at that point we might be actually having a breakout of this structure. Maybe the market wants to start flying to the upside. You know, the yen pairs are looking particularly strong right now. You know, yen looks particularly very, very weak. A lot of the the yen pairs starting to switch into a very bullish trend, or they're already in the bullish trend and they're really really flying in that structure. CAD yen's kind of been a little bit bearish / moving sideways, so maybe it might be wanting to join the rest of the yen pairs and start breaking out the highs there. And if it does that, cool, we'll look for the break and retest and take the longs there to the upside as well. But let's not forget the market's still at the extremes here, so this is still the best place possible to be looking for the sells if we can get those confirmations. If we don't and the market breaks structure, then obviously we just split that bias and look for the longs on the retest to take it to the upside. But right now, market's still under the area, so still considering this a bearish opportunity until the market breaks through, and then we can consider looking to change that bias if the market does break through. In terms of targets, obviously you've got the prior lows down there. You've got this consolidation here. This could be a good place to target outright, or for partials, that's completely up to you. Again, you've got the lows down here. If you're feeling really brave, you want to push it all the way down, that's up to you as well. But I would suggest looking at these areas here, they're more likely to be hit and more likely to reject price as well. And then on the flip side, looking for the buys. Now again, similar to Euro USD, there's no logical place we can look for a TP. Looking at these areas here, hasn't been tested in a long time. This resistance is not a bad place, 103.075, but it's quite far. I'm not really looking to hold the trade that far, so I'm looking more around the 102 mark. It kind of lines up with the support level here. So as you can see, this support level, if I take that across, it kind of lines up with the 102 mark, so that is probably what I consider as a TP area. It's just that that's way too far, and there's no logical place to put my TP. Looking to the left, have to look really far. So 101.829, around the 102 psychological level, will be the TP for the buys, and the TP for the sells, we can look at the lows here or a push back into the resistance around here. That'll be up to you for your targets. But these are the opportunities I'm looking at for CAD yen. Very important areas, make or break. If you start breaking through, we're looking for the buys. If you start holding, get a good confirmation, you can look to execute some sells and take it lower. So keep an eye out for keep an eye out for 100.5. That's the area I've got for that resistance. See what type of price action we can get on Monday, London. And then we can make some good trading decisions from that. So keep an eye on that level for next week for CAD yen. Okay, so pound USD up next. So we've got a really nice breakout to the upside, a really big candle just before the weekly and the monthly candle closed here. So this is what I want to be seeing. This is what I've been talking about for pound USD for the past 2 weeks now. All of this price action here, very messy for me. I'm not really looking to try and get involved at these sensitive areas. A lot of people be caught on the wrong side, trying to buy at the highs, sell at the lows as price is breaking in and out of this zone here. For me, I'm just waiting for price to commit to the direction, which it now looks like it's been to the upside. We can use the higher time frames to confirm that as well. You can see confident weekly candle closure. We had the zone here, not a single weekly candle closure above this zone. Now we've got the weekly candle closure, and as well we've got a strong monthly candle closure as well, confirming the momentum to the upside. So across the higher time frames, we can see momentum is definitely with the buyers here. Obviously nothing's 100%, but at least now we have a lot more confidence and a lot more confirmation that we can be sure about to take some buy opportunities. So going into next week for pound USD, now we're clearing the highs to the upside. I want to be seeing a pullback for this one, a correction, come back and retest this area here, and I'll be looking for some more long opportunities for a push to the upside. Really nice fib as well, coming to the 50, I think. Just under the 50, you might wick into it, but around the 1.25, nice psychological level. If we can bounce from there, I'll be more than happy to start looking for some entries to take some buys to the upside for pound. As for targets, it's a little bit tricky as well, because similar to USD and CAD yen, we're kind of trading in the areas we haven't traded in for a long time. So I'm looking at this daily level resistance as our point of reference. Because again, there's a solid level of resistance after the strong impulse, which gave us a really big sell-off. So this could be an area we can start to target, and the psychological areas around that. So if you can see a pullback into this area, looking for some buys around 1.25, and again you can push to 1.26 or 1.265, which is roughly where that daily level is around. So that's kind of what I'm looking for pound USD. I'm loving the structure. You can see the high lows have been very consistent here. Market hasn't broken through a single low yet, still pushing to the upside. So now I'm just looking for a good place to go long, which is this resistance here. Solid level of resistance, 1 2 3 rejections, big breakout to the upside, no retest as well. So if you come pull back down and revisit 1.25, yeah, I will definitely be looking for some longs here if I can get a good confirmation, that is. And targets either will be back to the highs there, depends on the risk to reward. If it's like 2 and below, then I'll be pushing to around 1.265. If I can get 1 to 3 there, depending on my entry, then I might just call it a day at the highs there, because we're trading at some areas that we haven't traded for a while. So I don't want to be holding my trades for too long in an area that I'm quite vulnerable in. But we'll see how it plays out. But this is roughly the idea, the trade that I'll be looking at going into next week for pound USD. Okay, so now on to pound CAD. So pound CAD ripped to the upside, clearing out some really important highs, as you can see, and more importantly, breaking through a very big level on the weekly time frame, as you can see here with all those wicks. This was a solid level on the weekly time frame since June 2020 to when it broke out March 2022, and since then we've had a couple of retests, but now it looks like we're breaking above that. So we could actually be seeing a move back into the resistance up here for pound CAD long term, especially if the candle closed like that. As long as we haven't had a crazy fake out and the next week comes straight back underneath, then yeah, we could be looking at a big fake out. But as long as we can stay above this level here, I do expect us to be finding our feet and some more upside. We've got a very strong bullish trend on the weekly, daily, full H, multiple time frames point to the upside. So now I just want to see some healthy corrections, and again looking for that next high low to take it to the upside. So whipping out the old Fibonacci for this one, again looking at this being the possible high. It could still go higher, so you may need to adjust the Fibonacci if the market starts piercing through the highs again. But if that is the high, looking at some retracement, this is an obvious level we can come into, roughly around 1.685. We've got the 50% not too far away from that as well. So theoretically, I'm just looking for a pullback into this area, a retest, get the confirmation, buys back to the highs. We could go further into the resistance up there, but I'm just going to play it simple, because we could probably easily get a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, into the resistance here. We don't need to push it too much further than that. So this is what I'll be looking at for pound CAD. Still giving me successive higher lows, really nice impulse to the upside. There's not much more to say with this one apart from waiting for the pullback. I'm not really looking to do anything up at these highs. I understand price might be coming to some resistance. It might be looking to sell off and retrace. But quite frankly, I'm not interested in the retracement at all for this one. With the higher time frame showing all that bullish momentum, I definitely want to be a buyer on pound CAD rather than be a seller. So I'm just going to wait for the pullback around 1.685. We may come a little bit deeper as well. There's some good fib levels around there with some confluence too, but this is the immediate level which I'll be considering to buy from, and again looking for a push back to 1.705. so keep an eye out for pound CAD. It may retrace there this week. It could just mess around, so it might not even come to the zone next week, but this is the only area I'm interested in, so this is what I'll keep an eye out for, and buys back into the prior highs around 1.705 for next week for pound CAD. Okay, so over to pound yen. So pound yen flying to the upside. I was not expecting such a big move this week. I was looking for a deeper retracement into 164.500. Didn't quite get that. I wasn't a fan of this support level, but hey, it held and the market absolutely rallied to the upside. I wasn't expecting such a big move. The market's almost, pushing into 172, which is this higher time frame, daily, weekly level of resistance, which is our prior, major highs in the market. We are revisiting that area. So simply for pound yen, we're still very much buyers of this one. I'm looking for more upside. We never really broke through structure. The market's still respecting those lows there. So if you can see a pullback for this one into this area, again, I'm not too sure if we will. It's quite far down. It's a solid level to be keeping an eye on though. If we can get there, some really good confluence around the 160 area mark. But will we retrace there next week? Not too sure. We could be in a situation where the market pulls back and creates some structure and then uses that to continue bullish within the week. Or it might be generous and pull back. And even if it does pull back that far, it may take most of the week to even get there. So if we do get buys, it'll probably be right at the end of the week anyway, unless something crazy happens. So the way I'm looking at pound yen is that I'm not really looking to touch it until we come back down to the 168 areas. And right now we're coming to some, very strong resistance, some, major swing highs in the daily and the weekly chart. And again, I'm not really looking to take any trades around there. There could be some counter trend trades. So if the market is going to have a deeper retracement, there might be some nice sells to take from this area to go down. A little bit aggressive, but you do have the backing of the higher time frame resistance to aid you on that move down. So if that's the sort of thing you're looking at, then feel free. But for pound yen, I'm definitely a buyer of this market, and only looking for more upside for this one. And right now, my area of interest is down at 168. There's nothing really up here tangible for me to work with, so I've got to be patient and see if we can get down there. So keep an eye on 168 for some buys if you can get that bigger retracement. Like I said, there might be some counter trend sells, up at the highs at 171, 172. But yeah, definitely are counter trends, so watch out and make sure you wait for confirmation. But I'll be focused on 168 for next week. Okay, so gold up next. So gold, very, very messy this week. I got into some buys for this one, but yeah, as soon as I got taken out of break even, I was not looking to get back in at all, because we're getting wicks to the upside, wicks down. Price, even though price was still holding onto the same support I was buying from, I was not looking to get back involved because the price action is chaotic. From a higher time frame perspective, it's not too bad. It actually looks pretty clean. Really nice impulse, correction, impulse. If we can have that bigger correction, I'm expecting the higher low to form and gold to start flying again to the upside. I'm still looking at the all-time highs being taken out. We might be in a slight retracement phase and then go take them out. Yeah, I'm still overly bullish on gold from a higher time frame perspective. As for the 4H, which is where I'm looking to trade, I'm very, very neutral. I'm just going to wait for more evidence to do anything really, because I'm not looking to buy the pair. I'm not looking to short the pair just yet. If you can start breaking to the upside like so, then yeah, a break and retest will be a decent opportunity. Break above 2010, retest that area, simply looking for the next continuation. The market is still placing these higher lows here. If we start breaking to the structure to the upside, then the higher lows are still intact and we could be looking for a push back to the highs, maybe back to the all-time highs as well eventually as well. So this still looks like a pretty good opportunity for me, but of course we need to see the breakout first. If we start breaking to the downside, then the sells don't look too bad either. A retest of this level, the market has rejected it many, many times. So if we can get a nice sharp breakout of that, sells around 1972, 1970 don't look bad at all. Get some bearish structure here. We've got high, low, lower high, lower high, new low, looking for a lower high for a push back down. So the sells look pretty good as well for gold. All I can say right now is that I'm not looking to trade at all in this range here. I'm just gonna be waiting for gold to do its thing, either to the upside or to the downside, similar to pound USD. Pound USD broke to the upside, really nice big move. If gold can do that as well, I'll be focused on buys above 2010. If the gold starts melting the downside, then I'll look for some sells on 1970 for some shorts, and we can start targeting some of these lows here to the downside as well. So gold does look good. Just in that area is a complete mess, so need price to get above it or below it, and then we can start looking for some trades next week. Okay, so over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, strong move to the upside this week, and now we're coming back into that 31K area of resistance. So I'm still looking for buys for Bitcoin, but further down around 25K, which is this zone here on the daily, weekly chart. I'm looking for my buys down here. I'm not really too interested in buying up there for Bitcoin. It's getting quite corrective and it's too near that, bigger time frame zone as well. So there might be some nice sells for Bitcoin around these areas here. You can see the market has been printing some lower highs, 1, 2, potentially 3 as well. So we could see possibly a topple to the downside, maybe one more up move, then a push to the downside there for Bitcoin. But again, I'm not interested in the sells around this area. The buys down here look very, very good. We have good confluence here, had the fade to the downside, big momentum to the upside there as well. I'm looking to see if we can get pullback around to the 50 into that zone, take some of these weaker lower highs, higher lows, sorry, come down to this area, and then I'll look for my buys back up into that 30K, 31K zone. So for me, my area of interest for Bitcoin is still down at these areas. Like I said, there might be some sells up at these regions, but I've just got a lot more confidence down here, so I'm not really focused on the sells right now and just waiting for the buys in this area. So the analysis for Bitcoin last week is the exact same for this week as well. Yes, the sells could be there, but I'm not really interested. 25k is my zone. So we'll be focusing on Bitcoin. It might take a week or two to get there, so the analysis could be the exact same going to next week as well. But that's my of interest, so I've got to stay patient and wait for that to come into action. But yeah, still bullish on Bitcoin down at 25k, but watch out for the resistance we have just above our heads. And last but not least, we got our bonus pair, which was Euro Swiss. Now, Euro Swiss was our bonus pair not too long ago, and it's back again because we still haven't made our way back down to this infamous support level. I should go draw it on the daily chart. Ooh, if I go draw it on the daily chart, I'm still looking for price to come back into this key support. You know, very strong support on the daily, strong bounces. I'm still looking at push into that level. You can see on the daily, the market's still consistent with these lower highs here and trying to find some momentum to the upside, but I'm expecting a low high to form and us to return back into that support level just above 0.97. If you look at the weekly chart, you know, comfortable bearish trend, monthly chart, comfortable bearish trend. We're seeing multiple time frames still pointing down. So looking for sells, you know, is always going to be a good idea. Obviously doing it properly, waiting for your confluences and at suitable areas, of course. But we've got a lot of wind in our sells to the downside if we can focus on some really good sell opportunities. And personally, I'm looking at a retest of this structure here just above 0.99, so 0.991 we'll call it, into this zone here. Really good confluence in that area. Got the trend line there too. If you can see some nice rejection, I think we've got the 50 for the fib, 0.618 actually for the fib. So really good confluence in this area and a good place we can form that next major lower high. From a 4H daily perspective, like I said, the market's consistently forming these lower highs. This is a good prime place to form another one for another move back to the downside. Again, target wise, it's going to be up to you where you want to push it. You know, if we form a low here, that could be a good target. Again, this could be a good target, or we've got the daily area down there. So it's up to the risk reward and how you want to push the trade. For me, I'm mainly looking for 1 to 3s, you know, 1 to 4s maximum with my target. Sometimes I may push it further, but I'll take most of my profit around the 3 or 4R mark and leave a small amount to run. So if I do push it to the lows, it's because I've only got a small amount left. But yeah, this is kind of the overall analytical perspective, analytical view for Euro Swiss back down to 0.972. But from a trading standpoint, I just want to get my trade up around there and maybe just target the lows here. So we'll wait and see how Euro Swiss shapes up. But I'm liking the structure, consistent lower highs. So we'll watch out for that area for some sells and another push back down to the lows for next week. So that brings us to the end of the video, guys. Hope you have found it useful and enjoyed it. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and hit the bell as well so you don't miss on any uploads in the future. But guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you all next week.